Good evening, baseball fans. Welcome to Around the State. It's hard to believe that we're kicking off season 5 of our podcast. This is episode 1. I believe it's the earliest that we've ever started our podcast. I could be wrong there. If you are familiar with what we do, we started this a couple years ago just to talk some baseball across the state. Our high school coverage, players, programs, teams, coaches, our events, basically just trying to get people caught up on high school baseball across the state. And it's December the 14th, and we are inching closer to high school baseball season. When Christmas and the holidays get here, you flip that calendar to January 1. You know that baseball season is right around the corner. It seems like it gets here quicker and quicker every year. We enjoy this part of it. We are so glad that you
tell you how you know it's getting baseball season. You step outside. I can speak for the state of Alabama this week. It's getting cold.
Yep. Especially today, man. I think it's 19 right here where I live in Huntsville right now. So it's and then you mentioned it on your Twitter earlier in the week. It's getting closer when you start rolling out the team previews, and that's one of our focuses for tonight's podcast. Got a couple guests coming on in a minute. Austin, how are you, man? Everything good?
I'm good. Just getting ready. Like you said, once Christmas, we both are big fans of the holidays. But I guess the part that you think on the other side is when baseball season comes around, and we'll get into it. But we've got you'll talk about it. We've got our preseason events once the calendar flips to 2026. Like I said, we'll get into those here in a minute, and then right after our events, the high school season gets here before we know it. And I've talked about it. We've talked about it the past few seasons, but that's probably the favorite part of what we get to do is going out and covering the high school season and getting to see the teams, all the best teams, all the best players. And, we'll get more into that in future episodes. But like you said, starting our podcast earlier this year, just want to get on and kind of maybe build a little bit of hype getting into the season. Like you said, we start our team previews and
Austin, I think you went mute somehow. I got you. Yeah, as he was saying, I don't know what happened to Austin's mic there. As he was saying, getting straight into the high school season. That's what this is about, getting it started earlier. We may have some technical difficulties on Austin's side there. Austin, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Austin? All right, so I'll get us going here with the this episode here. As we've talked about, again, just welcoming you here to high school season. Once we get into the high school season, we'll be doing this every week. We aren't sure when we will be doing it over the next couple of weeks. But I do want to just talk to you about what's going on now for all of you that have jumped on. We do, as I mentioned, we do have 2 coaches coming on here in just a little bit. And we'll get to them in a second. But before we do, you probably noticed this past week, we started our team previews. It is also the earliest that we've started our team previews as well. And the reason why is because every year, as we get closer to the season, we have to get out a bunch of team previews in a row. So this year we've started them earlier. We've done our first 5 this past week. That will continue tomorrow. We'll talk more about that here in just a little bit in the show. Austin, give me a mic check. You good there now?
Got me.
Oh, yes, I got you. You're good. All right. So yeah, again, there's always some technical difficulties and things to work out when we're doing this live, but we do enjoy doing this live with you. So Austin's back. That's good. So again, our team previews are started this week. I do want to say a couple things. We get a lot of people reaching out about team previews. We obviously do not want our team previews to be filled out by a parent. It is for high school coaches only. So any of you high school coaches that have not received a team questionnaire, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll get your school email. We'll be glad to get it to you. But again, no offense, we're not trying to offend anyone if we ask, are you a high school coach there? Again, we want to make sure these get in the hands of the right people. You've probably also noticed we've started our top 25 profiles that have been visited during the 2025 year. I think today was number 18. Was it Parks Woodruff?
Yep, 18.
No, today was Grant Hill.
Yeah, Grant Hill. Yeah.
Yeah, today was Grant Hill. We will be releasing a top one of the top profile each day, counting down all the way to number 1, which will be released on December the 31st. So you can see that on Twitter. Again, that's every day we'll be releasing that. Also beginning tomorrow, and Austin is the brains behind this, but beginning tomorrow, he will start rolling out what we call our best of for 2025. We'll get out our best of the top 60-yard dashes. It'll be a different category each day. And I don't know what Austin's beginning with tomorrow, but we'll have the top 20, 25 fastball velocities. We'll have the top 30, 40, 60-yard dashes, the top certain number visual edge, blast, infield velocity, outfield velocity, all those metrics that we get at our events. That will also start pumping out tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. And then we will continue with our uncommitted spotlights. We try to get about 2 of those out every week, usually on Tuesday and Thursday. The holidays coming up could, force us to, move day or maybe only do 1 a week, depending on when the holiday falls. But continue to be looking for those as we close out 2025.
Got our first comment. Sam Ridley. What up, Sam?
Sam, we will see him at the preseason All-State at Hartselle event. That's right. Former junior future gamer. I think you got a rankings
number 9
tweet out. Yeah, that's right. 9. Yeah. Sam will be there at Hartselle. Look forward to seeing him there. Appreciate you listening, Sam. And then before we bring on our first coach here in just a second, this pub right here. I know it's the holiday season. We do have our shop.prepbaseball.com. And again, this is nothing that we do. This is managed by our national office. And if you're looking for that last minute gift, if you're looking to, get somebody some pretty sweet stuff, some swaggy stuff, this might be a good stop for you. Shop.prepbaseball.com. I know that they're always running some specials on, maybe 20% off a hoodie, maybe free shipping, whatever. But again, that's there if you're looking for a gift for a player, parent, or whatever you may be looking for.
I try to stay off of it as much as I can because it's easy to spend $50 or $60 every time you get on.
I'm gonna have to get that camo hoodie, man.
Oh no, I've seen it a couple times, and it's eventually gonna make its way into my cart.
Yes, it is. There he is, Colin Chamlin. Appreciate you jumping in, Colin. Listened to him the other night on his Mississippi podcast with our state director, Matt Miller. Colin does a great job for us in Alabama as well, helping us at our events, helping us scout some games also. So glad he chimed in. Austin, you want to talk about the schedule here?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and get into our schedule. Like I said, once the calendar flips to 2026, you'll see there on our on the graphic, we have 2 types of events in the preseason. One being a preseason ID and the other being a preseason All-State. The preseason ID is similar if you've come to either a fall ID or a summer ID in the past. It's more of probably have 30 to 40 kids at each event, and it's an open event. Anybody can come. It's charged at a cheaper price. So we've got 2 of those this preseason.
And the reason the cheaper price is there's no defense there,
right,
due to indoor space. Yes.
Yeah. So we start off January 4th at Birmingham preseason at the Birmingham preseason ID. That event's held at Strongbox Indoor, and for those who have been to Strongbox Indoor, it is a high class facility. May have to get there a couple hours before and get some shots up on the gym on the side before we start setting up. But it's a big time place. And then the day after, we'll head up to Huntsville, have our Huntsville preseason ID at Clutch Performance in Huntsville, Alabama. So those are our 2 preseason IDs on back-to-back days. The Birmingham preseason ID on the 4th, and then Huntsville preseason ID on the 5th. And then the next week on January 11th, we're headed south down to Orange Beach, the Orange Beach Sportsplex, another high-class facility, to have our South Alabama preseason All-State. I should go back. Our preseason All-States are invite-only events. Our 2 biggest events of the preseason. We fully expect the North Alabama preseason All-State to sell out, and the South Alabama preseason All-State, it keeps growing every year. So, it could sell out this year. I wouldn't, if you're sitting on an invite, I probably wouldn't sit on it for too much longer, especially for the North event. But the South event, like I said, has continued to grow year after year. So we'll have the South Alabama preseason All-State on the 11th, and then the following week on the 17th, we'll be at Hartselle, the Hartselle High School indoor facility on January 17th to have our North Alabama preseason All-State. So, like I said, those are 2 of our two biggest events of the preseason. They're invite onlys. You go ahead.
And I want to say something about that. A lot of times people request an invite for the All-State event. And, not all the time, but sometimes some people that request them, we've not seen at an event. These All-State, these invite only. I mean, that's not said invite only to sound good. It is legitimately invite only. And with our limited numbers, especially in the North, and again, that South is filling up as well. If we haven't seen a player, it's hard we just cannot make a judgment on that kid, whether he, needs to be there or not. So when we get those and, we'll get an email, someone asking, about that, then we will just tell them, hey, there's no disrespect taken. I mean, we're not meaning anything disrespectful, but at this time we haven't seen him. It would be best to come to the Birmingham preseason or the Huntsville preseason ID. So again, I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like we've had numerous kids from our fall IDs the past couple of months that have requested, and we've seen them. We have validated numbers and metrics and video to back that up, and we say, yeah, they're good enough to come. So it's probably if it's probably your first event, probably an ID would probably be the best route to get started. But like I said, preseason IDs are open events, and the All-States are 2 invite-only events. So like I said, if you have an invite to the All-State events, I wouldn't sit on it for too much longer. You may not have a spot. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you. We can go ahead and get into Coach Hall.
Yeah. And again, as I said, the reason that we have started these a little earlier this year is we're going to do a quick little recap from the week on some team previews that Austin gets out. But we're also going to try to bring on a coach or 2 each week in these preseason podcasts that we're doing, and just maybe talk about their team a little bit more in depth. And we've got 2 guys coming on tonight. And we'll talk about the second one here in just a minute. But our first coach that's coming on is a friend of ours as well, a supporter of what we do at Prep Baseball. And I've known him for a long time, and he is a heck of a baseball coach. But I mean this, I tell him this, he is a salt of the earth type person. He is a great human being, and we are glad to call him a friend. And that's the head coach of Oakman High School in 3A Area 10. That's Coach Ryan Hall. We'll welcome him on. Coach, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm great. What's up, guys? I appreciate you guys having me, and you put me in a leadoff spot and put a lot of pressure on me.
You got him? So. I don't see him on my.
So, I've got him, Austin. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So, Coach, man, listen here. You've got more guts than I got, because I got that bald head too, and I wear a hat. So
I probably should have covered it up. I probably blinded everybody here.
No, you're good, man. You're perfectly good, man. We appreciate you coming on. I know that. Listen, I know you've been an integral part in us getting this small town showdown started last year. We're going to continue that this year down at Northport. We're pumped about that. Y'all you're in that again. We're glad to have you. We're going to jump right into your team. I think the first thing that and we'll talk about this more in just a minute, but I think the obvious thing is, y'all got a really good team. You had a good team last year. You got a lot coming back. But, you know, and again, we'll talk about this. You're in a very difficult area.
Yeah.
and we'll ask you about that later, but I'll get us started here. Number one, you know, as you didn't make the playoffs last year, but I don't want to speak for you, but I would think that you would think that y'all had a good year last year. Maybe you're welcome to disagree with that, but just one thing I want to ask you or get your thoughts on. You know, your 2025 campaign ended before the playoffs. Mm-hmm. What strides? What do you think that your team has done a good job of between that last game last year and as you're moving towards January this year?
Yeah, I think that for the first time, and we had a summer program. We had not had a summer program before, and we had a lot of kids play summer baseball at different levels. And I think that's number one that probably will impact our program more than anything else is just the kids playing more baseball. And we also had a fall for the first time because, you know, in the past I've been the head football coach. This is my first year not being the head football coach at Oakman High School. And so we were able to take advantage of some of the 2 hours a week stuff and do some training. And we have a unique situation at Oakman where our coaches do a great job of sharing athletes. So I've had my hands on at some point every kid that plays in our program, even if they play other sports. And so, you know, I would say that's the first thing is just trying to organize a true off season where I've been able to invest a little more with the guys and, you know, do some team building stuff as well. So that's I hope that will benefit us. And absolutely, we're in an extremely tough area, but you know, you said it, we felt like we could have been a second round, maybe type team. I don't know. But we weren't because we just couldn't get out of our area, but hopefully we've closed that gap maybe with some stuff that we've done in the off season. And we lost one guy. I think we'll talk a little bit about that moving forward, but we lost one player and we added a couple of transfers, you know, and we're not in the portal or anything like that. It just worked out, you know, and actually, we had three. Two of them were here last year and sat out. So, you know, our team will be a little different, but you're right. It'll be mostly the same guys.
Yeah. Next question, Coach. You know, it's kind of a weird thing looking at your roster and being able to see you guys play last year at the Small Town Showdown. Your team is pretty experienced, and I think I put that in there you put that in your questionnaire, and I thought the same thing when I was making your preview this past week. But you know, your team is a very young team, but your team is pretty experienced, having, you know, underclassmen and even eighth graders play over the past couple of years. Tell us a little bit more about that and how, you know, you hope that those younger players will continue to take the steps forward to continue to develop your program.
Yeah, it's almost an oxymoron, right? Like you say, we're young but very experienced, and that's true. We have three sophomores that are essentially their seniors. This is their fourth year to play varsity baseball. And so Skylar Driver, Hampton Hall, and Ledger Martin, those kids have been playing for us a long time. We have an eighth grade pitcher he's a ninth grader now that's thrown 60 innings. He won a playoff game a couple of years ago. You know, and I'm going to tell you something else now. We have and Coach Sharp, you'll know what I'm talking. We have a kid that made the workout at 11U NTIS that's a seventh grader that you know, the individual workout he's going to play. So, I mean, he's got a chance to play for us right away. So, you know, it was a unique deal where when I came into the job, we had a lot of young kids that loved baseball, that really were a personality fit for me in terms of just the way they approached the game and competitiveness and grittiness. And so we just kind of built it on those young kids. And, you know, hopefully we've been able to keep them engaged. You know how sometimes when you do that too early, you can lose them a little bit and they lose so we've tried to keep them engaged. They all play other sports, which, you know, my Hampton plays all three.
Hooping. He's hooping, baby. I saw it.
It's just, so anyway, long story short is it's just there. Look at that goofball right there. Anyway, you know, yes, we are very young still, but we are experienced. And we do have three seniors. I know we'll lead into that a little bit, but we do have some seniors that are older and, you know, they are the glue of our team. And I wouldn't, you know, those young kids got some ability, but those seniors are the glue for sure, 100%.
I'm sorry I started laughing while you were talking a minute ago. You probably thought, what's he laughing at? Well, you can check your phone. The three of us just got the same text message, and it's the same coach that texts us every week. So we all just got the same text message from the coach. So
I just saw that. Yeah, that's pretty good.
So our next question for you, Coach, and you've talked about this a little bit. You know, we've again, we don't want to beat the youth on your team into the ground, but obviously it's a weird situation with youth, but experienced youth. You know, when you come down to leadership, do you have some older guys that those young guys look to, or do you have the young guys that are serving as leaders, or is it maybe a combination of both?
Yeah, like for us, we try to take leadership as it's just, we don't have any type of seniority, or like seniors don't get any special privilege. It's just, you know, everybody has to lead. And we want them all to buy into leadership and, you know, taking ownership in our team. But we do have some seniors. Weston Burton's a senior that has started for us for a long time. He's kind of the energy guy, the glue guy. He's as good of a program guy as I've ever had in 20-something years of coaching. Brady Jones is another kid that just embodies what we want to be in terms of gritty and tough. And you guys have seen us play. We don't always do everything right, but I tell you what they do. And those guys lead the charge on this is we're going to get after it, and we're going to play hard, and they're going to want to win. And, you know, that's kind of what for us, it still comes down to there's a pitcher and a hitter. It's a man against a man, and somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. And, you know, that's kind of our philosophy. Like, all those plays in baseball still come down to one man against one man, and who's going to win and who's going to lose. And so, you know, those guys, Brady and Weston, they've been with me a long time too. And they both, they do a great job of setting the example of what we want to be. And they bought into it. And so I'm proud of them. And you know, we're very, very grateful for the contributions that they've made to our program, you know, long term. And I'm going to miss the crap out of them when they leave, to be honest with you. We had a transfer named Ethan Hendon, who will bring us a little bit more punch on the mound in terms of velocity and a little bit more punch offensively, that transferred over from Jasper. So we're excited about him. And then we have one junior. So we have 3 seniors and 1 junior. And then the rest of our roster are 10th, 9th, 8th, and 7th graders. So, you know, the youth thing, like, yeah, you know, some people say, well, you're really young, but you know, you guys know, like, it's no excuse anymore. Like, we've got to go, and there's no young Gordo. There's no asterisk on our record that says, hey, they were young that year. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So, but to answer the question real quick, those seniors are great, and they do a great job of kind of, you know, taking ownership in our program.
And we've already alluded to it, but you know, the area that you're in is one of the, if not the toughest in Class 3A. You've got, you know, Gordo and Winfield and Carbon Hill. Gordo and Winfield being, you know, the 2 teams that were able to get out of that area last year, with y'all finishing 3rd, and they were, you know, good enough to play in I think it was the semifinals of 3A, which is pretty rare to have. I mean, it's not rare, but to have 2 teams from the same area going against each other in the semifinals. So to prepare yourself for that this year, I know you talked about it in your questionnaire. How have you gone about scheduling non-area games, those games before area play, to better prepare your team for those 6 games that are going to, you know, determine your postseason play? And you know, how have you gone about scheduling? And I know you're in the small town showdown, but what other ways have you gone about scheduling to get ready for area?
Yeah, just trying to balance some high level competition, but also some, you know, we don't want to go too heavy on that. But at the end of the day, I want our kids' eyes to have seen a high level team before we get to those teams. And so the small town showdown that you guys put on is a tremendous opportunity for us to do that. We love that. Our kids are fired up about it right now, and they don't even realize they're going to play in that new park. Like, they have no idea how nice that is. And so, but they talk about that all the time. And you know, we've got Lindsay Lane, who I know they got the Wallace kid, and they got another young kid I know is a really good player. I think they were a late 2A playoff team. Then we play Collinsville, who I think is one of the most physical teams I've ever seen in my life. And they'll be definitely trying to get revenge on us. We played a football game last year, and we kicked a field goal late to win 17-14, if you remember that. But And then the next day we have GW Long, who's historically been one of the better programs in the state. Summerton Christian, Ricky does a great job over there. We play Lauderdale County at Northwest Shoals, I think, the next week, which will be a good challenge for us. And then, believe it or not, we're playing Mountain Brook at the beach, so that'll be, but we play Orange Beach and Mountain Brook when we go to the beach. So, those kind of games are just opportunities for us to kind of get in there in the mix and have to fight and scrap. And, we want to play really good teams. And that's the beauty of what you guys have put together, that small town showdown. It gives all of us smaller schools a chance to go to a place and really have to compete and find out a lot about our teams early.
Before I get to the last question for you, Coach, you made a good point there. You talk about strength of schedule. You would love to go out every game and play the likes of Orange Beach and Lindsay Lane and Lauderdale County, but there's a fine line there because your kids can get beat up, and learning how to win is really, really important. And I'm not saying you can't win those games, because you can win those games. But you've got to balance it out where they're going to see some success as well, and not that you're scheduling cream puffs, but you've got to get some wins along the way so your kids can see that's important.
Yeah. You do. And we respect everybody. Obviously, I know that there's no disrespect to anybody on our schedule. And, there's some local rivalries you need to play. There's some teams that you need to play when your pitching is going to be depleted. And you've got, one thing we want to try to do is find a way to win every kind of game. It's hot, it's cold, it's a pitcher's duel, it's a bomb. We want to learn to win all those games. And I think you have to do that when your schedule is sort of spread out and you've got different type opponents. And you want to create a schedule that gives you that opportunity. Yeah, you want to be competitive in every game you play, and give yourself a shot. But you're not going to. The A game's not going to be there It's probably not going to be there, but one time a week would be great. You got to learn to win and be able to win when you don't have that. And I think scheduling does have. People may not want to admit it, but it does have it does factor in that. I did that my first year at Bob Jones. I went 7-32. I did. I was an assistant in college for 4 years, and I had everything figured out. And I took the job at Bob Jones and scheduled everybody at Russell County and went 7-32. And that about ended my coaching career. And so I learned a hard lesson that way.
I look at Alabama and Auburn basketball right now.
Yeah, that's true.
They have played some juggernauts, but they've got to be able to balance some teams in there that it's not an Arizona or a Purdue or a Gonzaga every game out. So
yeah, and I'll tell you something else that I think is important is creating depth and experience in your 11th, 12th, 13th guy, in your 6th, 7th, 8th guy on the mound. I always think, I heard Lenny Acuff say this one time, but I always think about coaching next year. Yeah, like you got to be coaching next year's team this year. Yeah. Like that's part of the process of building a program. And so anyway, scheduling does factor into those things.
It's going to force you to throw your number 6 or number 7 in a game. Correct. That's right. That's right. And Coach, again, we appreciate your time coming on. To wrap us up, one final question for you, ma'am. Mm-hmm. As you head into the 2026 season, what are some areas of your team that you feel are strengths of yours? And what are some things that, and I know you haven't stepped on the field in a practice, I know you've got your 2 hours a week, but it's still really, really early. What are obviously some things you think are going to be strengths and maybe some things that you're going to have to figure out and get those things taken care of as the season progresses?
Yeah, I think obvious strength, we've already talked about it, is just experience, guys playing together for a long time, chemistry, competitiveness of our group. I think those things are all positive. I think we're a little more dynamic offensively. Like we have some guys now that they can get to second base with a bat instead of having to steal and do, I think we've got some of that. I think we've got a little more punch on the mound. I still worry about chase and swing and miss. We struck out too much. And, at our level, getting the ball in play is important and it's fundamental. And so we need to cut down on strikeouts. And, I think that's the biggest thing is just creating and lengthening our pitching staff. Like we got to get our 5-6 guys. It's just like you just said, there's going to be some game that if you go to game 3 in the playoffs, those guys are going to pitch. Right. And they got to be ready. So we got a little bit more punch. but we've got to cut chase and swing and miss, and we just got to get better we got to get more balls in play. So, guys, I don't want to take up any of Coach Foster's time, but you guys are awesome, and what you do is incredible, and you do way more than you have to. I know that, and we appreciate that. My family and Oakman, we're grateful for all the work that you guys do, and I can't tell you enough how much we appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you, Coach. We appreciate you. Appreciate your support. Thanks again for coming on a Sunday night, and
Yes,
hope you and your family have a great holiday. Have happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you, brother.
You too, guys. Go Wild.
See you, Coach.
Take care. All right, man. That's some good information on the Oakman Wildcats getting ready for 2026. And our next, Austin's he in there? You got him in?
Good.
Okay. Our next coach is going to join us tonight, the head coach at Rehobeth High School, Coach Adam Foster. We had Coach Foster come on at 8:20. He's been waiting for 10 minutes, Coach. I'm sorry, man.
You're good. You're good. Thank y'all for having me on here.
Man, we're glad you jumped on. You know how it is when you start talking baseball, man.
That's right.
It's like practice. There's no dead stop time,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right. Well, again, we appreciate you coming on, Coach. Obviously, head coach at Rehobeth. You're in that 6A Area 3, I think, with Russell County, Pike Road, and Park Crossing. Is that correct?
Sir.
Last year was your first year as a 6A school, made the playoffs?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we went 19-11 in the first year of 6A. We had some really good games with our area opponents. But there was one game against Pike Road. We didn't finish, and it cost us an area championship. So we had to travel in the first round of the playoffs last year.
Well, that's still a good year. A good year for you, and I know you're excited about 2026.
Yes, sir. We are.
Yep. So we've got a couple questions for you. We don't take up too much of your time, but do want to give you an opportunity to talk about your team, talk about your boys. Austin, you good if I go ahead with number one? Or
Yep.
Okay.
You got it.
Our first question for you, Coach. We just talked about this coming off your first 6A state playoff appearance. Again, your first year in 6A. Where do you think? You don't want to say status quo, because if you stay status quo, you're getting behind. So
That's
hope
right.
all coaches hope that they've made improvements and they've made some jumps. Where do you see, possibly since your season ended last year, where do you see some improvements or some jumps from your group heading into this 2026 season?
Well, we have a lot of guys they're just baseball guys. So we've had our hands on them a lot this fall. We did a lot of stuff just in the weight room during summer to, get them better mentally. But like I said, we got a really good senior group. We had a really good senior group last year, but, getting hired, didn't have my hands on them a lot, but able to have my hands on this group. So, they're the core of our team. The culture of our team this year is really, really good. So I think that's going to be a strong point for our team this year. They stay in the clubhouse, hang out. Every time we did anything, throwing, working out, they immediately like, hey, we're going out to eat. So I think the culture and just everybody gelling together is going to be a big part of our program this year.
People do not understand the importance of that.
No,
they don't understand.
No, it's it makes my job a lot easier when everybody gets together. There's no groups. Everybody's just they're molded together. And like I said, I think it's gonna take us a long way this year if we do everything like we're supposed to.
Gotcha.
You just talked about your that group of seniors. Talk a little bit more about who are some of those guys that you're going to look to, not only on the field contributing, but like you said, building that culture. Because we know how the high school baseball season is. There's ups and downs. Who are some of those seniors that you'll look to during the upcoming season?
Well, last week we had a son. He had an arm injury last summer, so we didn't get really utilized.
Hey, Coach, you're breaking up on us a little bit. Can you give us that name again, please?
Tyler Booth.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, he signed to go to Huntington. He had an arm injury last year, so he was on a pitch count. So hopefully, he's 100%. We're going to use him a lot. We have our one guy coming back. He was in the starting rotation last year. His name's Jackson section. We're looking to have, a lot of innings out of him off the mound. We got Jacob Shiver coming back. He's our catcher. He's actually signing this week to go to the LBW to continue his playing career. Another guy, Caden Springfield, he's going to be a utility guy. He's going to play multiple positions. He's going to be an outfielder. He's a big arm out of the bullpen for us. He's going to play first base on.
Is he a football player?
Do what now?
Is he a football player? Springfield?
He was
that's
linebacker.
When I went and looked on his Twitter profile when I was doing the preview, that's a big looking dude.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's a strong kid in the weight room.
Yeah.
Heath Matheson, he's also a senior. He's got he's our third baseman. He made 3 errors through the whole entire season last year, so he's got a really good glove. The only thing with our infield, we got a huge competition going that's going to go on with our first baseman, but we return our starting second baseman, we return our starting shortstop, we return our starting third baseman and our catcher. The biggest thing from the senior class last year, that was my whole outfield. So we get a whole new outfield this year with competition, but the group that we have this year, they're a strong group. I'm looking forward to them, and super excited to get started, and can't wait to see what we do in the season this year.
You just mentioned, you lost your outfield. You're looking for some replacements there. You talked about some of your seniors there. Who were some of those younger guys that, obviously haven't played a game yet? So you can't tell the future. None of us can tell the future. But who are some of those young guys that you think might be able to step into some of those roles of seniors that moved on after last year?
Well, we did have a move in. Jay Steen is his name. He's he's going to play in the outfield for us, also play first base, depending on situations. He's also going to throw some innings off the mound for us. We're excited to have him. He's going to be a big part of our.
I didn't know Jace had transferred in until I saw the preview. So
yeah, he moved in during the summer. He's going to be a big piece at the plate and in the field for us. We got a couple of other guys. Cooper Webb, he played a lot on JV last year. He's a speed guy. He can track it down in the outfield, cover a lot of ground. Kylan Kane is another guy. He's going to throw a lot of innings out of the bullpen for us. He went to the ALA BCA All-Star event during the summer. We got Ty Nance. Ty Nance is another big name. He actually was innings for us as a freshman, and so looking forward to seeing what he can do. We got a couple of other guys that's going to compete in the outfield spot. Noah Booth is another guy. He's a lefty, so he's also going to throw some innings for us. And Rylan Kaiser will be another name. So
gotcha.
Looking forward to seeing what type of competition we have in the outfield.
Competition, that's good for them. That's right.
I think you listed on your questionnaire your team's two team strengths that you think will be on this team is your depth on the mound, and you've run through some of those guys here, and your team's ability, your team's defensive ability. Talk about how important, especially it's those two things, pitching and defense. You hear the saying, pitching and defense, will win you games, win you championships. Talk about how important that'll be to have two of those strengths when, maybe you're one day it's 40 degrees and you're playing in March and you're facing a really good arm that you're probably not going to be able to score, 6, 7 or 8 runs off of. Talk about how important it is to be able to rely on pitching depth and your ability for your pitcher to be able to trust his defense behind him.
Well, we have more depth in the bullpen area this year, but Jackson Sexton, Tyler Booth, Ty Nance, we got other guys, Alan Kane, Jay Steen. All of those guys are going to be starting guys. That's going to be, on the mound for us. But, we take pride in our defense, and we fielded right at 95% last year as a team. And I tell our guys all the time, you put a solid defense behind the pitcher, you take that pressure off the pitcher having to strike out everybody. They know if the ball is put in play that they got guys behind their backs is going to take care of them. So, I mean, we continue to preach defense, and pitching. But like I said, we got some guys that's going to be, pretty good out of the bullpen. And like I said, we just continue to try to develop throughout the summer and the fall to get them prepared for the season.
A 950 team fielding percentage will get that done, man. That's
right.
That's pretty impressive. So, last question for you, Coach. When you sent your team preview in, I looked at your schedule that you included there, and that's a pretty formidable schedule you put together. And
it's gonna be a fun.
Yeah, I mean and listen, I don't want to answer the question for you, but the games that are important for you. The games you got to win, and then the rest of the season is built around those games, getting your team ready. So I think I saw Opelika on there a couple times, maybe. Some other large
freeway up there.
Yeah. So tell us, what's your rationale behind putting that schedule together this year?
Well, just like Coach Hall said, I mean, you're going to put a schedule that's going to be tough, but you got some winnable games on there. But I mean, the whole reason behind it is to prepare you for the playoffs, to get you ready for that. I mean, we went down to Spanish Fort last year, and we were 1 out away from winning that first game. They beat us on a walk-off. And then, I mean, just after that, mentally, I felt like we were gone just because of how they won that first game. So I wanted to put some really tough games throughout the schedule, get our guys ready for our area because, like I said, we got Pike Road. They're a quality opponent. We got Russell County. Same thing with them. Not going to leave Park Crossing off there because, like I said, we don't disrespect any of our teams on our schedule. So, we respect everybody that we play. And, out the gate, the first weekend, we go down to Mobile and we play St. Paul's. We play UMS Wright. We play Bryant. So, and I told them, I was like, hey, we're going to hit the ground running and we're going to see what type of team we are at the very beginning of the year.
That's the best. You'll know a lot about your team after playing those teams. There's no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, they're solid. They're solid teams down there. And I mean, we start the season off with GW Loam and the Hits for Heroes down in Dothan. We play St. James. We play Hopeful and Ayrton. I mean, there's a stretch where we have 5 games in a week. We played Brockton on a Saturday. We played Smith Station the Friday night before them. And the whole reason behind that is, you want to see what your rotation is going to do off the mound, but you want to see what that 5, 6, 7 guy is going to do as well. So, you're going to have bullpen games, and we had a handful of those last year. And, I feel like we did a good job, but we got to be able to finish that 5th, 6th, and 7th inning. So hopefully with what we've done in the weight room and what we've done in the fall, the mental side of it is going to push us through those last 3 innings.
Well, good.
No doubt.
Well, good.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on. You got it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We appreciate you coming on, Coach. Don't want to take too much of your time on a Sunday night, but just wanted to bring you on after we highlighted your team this week in our team preview, and man, we can't thank you enough. Again, like Coach Hall said, man, y'all are hitting leadoff this year, man. This is our first episode, so we greatly appreciate you coming on. Hope you see your team this spring, and again, thanks so much for coming on, and best of luck in 2026. Okay, Coach?
Yes, sir. Hey, thank y'all. Merry Christmas. Hope y'all have a great Christmas break with your family. And just like Coach Hall said, thank y'all for everything that y'all do, because I mean, y'all take a lot of your time out just to cover the whole state, and I mean, we appreciate it a lot.
We appreciate your support. That means a lot to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a
good
good
evening, Coach. Thank you. Coach Adam Foster, man. His good interview, man. Both of them, man. Enjoyed talking to him. And you know how it is, baseball guys. We get long talking. So,
I know.
But yeah, we're not going to go on. What's that, Austin?
Said looking down at the watch 45 minutes later.
I know. So, we're not going to go on much longer. Austin, you want to touch on our next thing or?
Yeah, I'll get into it real quick. Let me go ahead and say what we're doing while I get it set up real quick.
Yeah. Austin's going to talk briefly about our other team previews that were released this week. Obviously, we don't have time to talk all 5 of them, but we're going to talk briefly about those other 3 here in just a minute. Our upcoming podcasts, that is to be determined right now, because next week, as Austin said, we get into the Christmas spirit, the holiday season. We'll be caroling this time next week, Austin, on a Sunday night. It's be like the 30th straight, or not 30th for you, but for me, like the 30th straight year. A bunch of us get together, go caroling, have a Christmas party. So we won't be doing it next Sunday. Just be on the lookout for our on our social media channels on when the next podcast will be. And then, but Austin's going to wrap us up here in just a minute. So especially if you're from New Brockton, Austin, or Ranburne, you probably don't want to leave right yet. And then just as to reiterate, and we'll do this every week, if you ever want to get caught up on things that are related to the Alabama High School Athletic Association baseball season or leading up to that season, you can always go on prepbaseballreport.com, click on Alabama, and go up to the AHSAA tab. And that's where we'll house everything that we release, including our team previews. Once we get into the season, we'll house our players of the week, pitchers of the week, our weekly top 10 polls, our Power 25 will all be listed there. But Austin's going to wrap us up, take us out for this episode. Austin, I'll turn it over to you.
Yep, you got my screen, correct?
I do, yes.
Okay. Fingers crossed. I've had issues with my computer.
I can't see your screen. No.
Okay, you can't see my website?
No, I cannot.
The PBR website I'm on?
I do not. No.
Okay. That's weird. I'm sharing my screen. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, give us just a second.
Man, working out the kinks.
Yeah.
Episode 1. I don't know what it is.
You want me to try to share my screen?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I'm going to go out and come right back in. I'll be back 10 seconds.
Okay. Sorry for that. He's trying to get us back on. Again, this is our first episode of the season, so bear with us, please. We apologize, but we do want to try to get those other 3 previews out there.
Got me?
Yes, I have you. Can you see my screen?
Let me add it real quick to this page.
Okay.
There we go. Should have it there.
Is that yours or mine?
That's yours.
Okay. All right. You want to talk it and I'll just scroll down through?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead and scroll down. Well, let me go to full screen so I can see. Yeah. We started off, I think, Monday with New Brockton. Scroll up just a little bit to the top. New Brockton in Class 4A. They're in Area 4 down near the Wiregrass. Last year went 15-12, got beat in the first round, I think, to I forget that I'm blanking. Scroll down, looking at some of their returning players. One player who we're pretty familiar with, Jacob Fisher, who came to the South Alabama Fall ID. He's a pretty cool story when you talk about what we do. Obviously we love to help the players go to Alabama and LSU and Auburn and Georgia and Florida and all that. But Jacob Fisher was a guy who came to our South Alabama Fall ID this past fall at Orange Beach and had never really heard of him. Was 80, I think he was up to 80, 88 on the mound. Looked really good, clean out of the hand. And Bishop State was there on hand, looking for players at the event, and I think offered him before he left the event, and a couple weeks after he committed to Bishop State. So that was pretty cool from our vantage point. Always, like I said, love helping out those kids, especially when it's college coach comes to your event and you're able to make that happen. They've also got outfielder, right-handed pitcher Gavin Hand, Bryant Crumpler and Clark Moran are 4 seniors included with Fisher there, who the Gamecocks would rely on. Will Atkinson and Griffin Wood are 2 more juniors. You can scroll down now to checking out some of the underclassmen. You've got Micah Davis, a 2029, and then some more juniors and seniors to follow. Are Kylan Radcliffe, Colton Mercer, and Colton Starling. I think I included who they got beat by in the first round. It's you see it there?
I'm looking. I do not see it.
Satsuma. Yep, that's
Okay.
what it was. No, started with an S.
Yeah.
So look for New Brockton to take another step forward here in Class 4A in 2026. We can go ahead and I think Austin.
I'm gonna head to Austin High School next.
Yep.
All righty. Scroll down. There we go.
And for anybody, like he said, that AHSAA tab up top, that's going to house everything. I've cleaned it up the past couple of days. We've got our team previews up there. All you got to click is obviously that AHSAA tab, click the team previews, and it's got the 5 that were listed last week, and then it's got our 3 high school events with the full schedule and release under that tab as well. And we'll continue to add to it once the season gets closer. We'll look at Austin, the Black Bears, coached by Preston Potter there in Class 7A up near your neck of the woods in Area 8. Missed the playoffs last year, but they've got they've got some good pieces coming back. Led by Levi Morgan's a senior who's headed to Calhoun. Paxton Branham is another senior first baseman catcher who's signed with Eureka College. Dylan Raines is another senior. Trey Harville is a name who we talked about before we got on air when we were talking about Austin. I think he was all honorable mention All-State last year. And then you see all the other the juniors and seniors they've got. Tyler Parker, Owen Prater, Dejon Parks, Riley Grigg, and Bentley Stidham are some more of their top returning players. So they've got a good bit coming back from last year. And then some underclassmen. Trey Sykes is a sophomore. Connor Hill is another sophomore, as well as Ethan Ratliff, and Christopher Sexton. And then a freshman for Austin is Noah South to keep an eye on for the Black Bears in the 2026 season. So we can round it out here with Ranburne. The Bulldogs are competing Class 2A Area 8. They went 16-19 last year and advanced. They won their first round matchup and advanced to the Sweet 16. Looking at some of their top returning players, Drew Davenport, he's got to be related to what was the Davenport that came out? I want to say it was Eli, maybe
Eli Davenport. Yeah.
I think so. I think that was, I don't know. I may be wrong, but that may be his brother. He's a 2026 Drew Davenport. Colton Johnson is another upperclassman, a junior. They've got 5 sophomores who they'll rely on, and Kason Jones, Carter Lauren, Rance Merrill, James Ward, and Owen Henderson. I think all 5 of those have been to – I think they went to a scout day. I think they all 5 maybe played on the same travel team and went to a scout day, I want to say with Georgia over the fall. But you see some swings there for Kason Jones. So a good mix of sophomores for Ranburne. So they'll be expected to contribute for Ranburne in addition to some of those upperclassmen. So
yeah, and I appreciate you going over those, Austin. Yeah, and as I said, thank you for what Matt Miller say? Radio looks. We appreciate you guys jumping on with us tonight. As always, we went a little bit longer than normal, but again, you talk baseball, it's hard to stop. Matt, we appreciate the comment, man. We really do. But again, thank you for jumping on with us. We will let all of you know when our next podcast will be. If it'll be next week or may skip next week, go the next. We'll just see where our schedule looks like.
We can go live from Carolyn next week.
Oh, I don't think people want to hear that. I don't think so. But again, that AHSA tab, stay up to date with everything. We'll be getting stuff out this week. We went over that at the first of this podcast. Thanks to both the coaches that jumped on with us tonight, some insights on their teams. We plan on doing more of that as we move closer to the season. So again, for David Sharp and Austin Sharp, this is Around the State. We appreciate you jumping on. Take care, and we'll talk to you next time.